the introduction. And again, everybody, thank you for just being a part of 1 Million Cups. So before I share my screen, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Darnell Warrington. I'm the production coordinator for the company, Orlando Fashion, where we showcase arts, entertainment, and technology. And we're going to be the next big resource for Central Florida, Orlando, and the greater Orlando area, including the downtown arts district. So let me go ahead and share my screen and tell you more about the company and how we're going to be servicing the community. All right, is everybody able to see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right, awesome. So right now, these are two images. The one on the left is the City Arts Factory, their Build a Brick project that they have, which is a nonprofit located in the downtown Orlando Arts District area, with Kat Owens being one of the managers there who runs the place. And she's a very friendly, lovely lady. And we've had the pleasure of meeting before they moved to that location, being in their previous location, not too far from there for around 50 years. When I spoke with Kat, I was at a time where I was about the Sunrail was being built and going to Church Street, and had the pleasure of going over there and meeting some of the people there. And it was really inspiring, excuse me. However, there was a problem that we saw. And what we noticed is that the communities, they need exposure for their talent, products, services, right? And these communities specifically, I'm talking about the artists, brands, and businesses in the Central Florida area. So what we talked about was, how do we help solve this problem? Okay, we noticed there's a lot of people who are talented, who have so much potential, right, to have a professional career, make enough income to just account for their lifestyle to where they can focus on their craft, right? For instance, the Grand Bohemian in downtown Orlando, when I met with the art curator there and we spoke, they had their exhibit that they would do for artists and help them price their artwork with them. Some of these will range for the thousands of dollars. There's also other art exhibits in the downtown Orlando area. So just over the course of a year when we started Orlando Fashion, was before the pandemic in 2020. And our solution to this problem before the pandemic, what we had in mind was to create exposure and a platform for these communities, right? By being a primary source of arts, entertainment, and technology in Central Florida. So what did that mean? At first, it was just a magazine. You may have heard of Orlando Fashion Magazine, maybe in some of the search engine results, if you're looking up stuff having to do with, Orlando, and then maybe some fashion. So what we noticed is that, okay, a magazine would make sense, right? Two high-ranking keyword terms that a lot of people search, that's going to be growing along with the different people in the community who are in these specific fields, right? So we said, if we do a magazine, we can create that source, right, for people to also use as a platform to showcase their work and their talents or their brand. And also we can use that as a source for that, for those people in particular. So our product and service, right? Orlando Fashion is not only a magazine, we're not only a publication, we're operating as a production company as well as a publication company. So what that looks like is, if, let's say, Walt Disney or Sony, let's say they had also like an H&M mixed with it. So you already have two fields where a lot of people are going to be at, right? You have the production as far as marketing goes, and the magazine goes, which is going to be a seasonal publication, right? But then you also have the other aspect of it, which is the brand itself and creating that brand identity, which is super important. So why now and why us, right? Specifically, why you? So because everyone has a part to play in this. Investments in the arts and culture organizations have been going down. However, the sector itself has been inclining in the ROI that it's providing. Right now, the workforce is people like who are coming out of college, who are looking for a place where they can be a part of and grow in the community. So based on that growth, Orlando population is, among the nation's fastest growing. And based on Orlando's fashion school, we're able to cater to these different audiences in these fields as well. Our marketing strategy is going to incorporate direct, indirect marketing, focus on brand awareness and engagement, cross-media and multi-channel marketing, which is mostly focused on collaboration. Right, we're going to offer different campaigns that we're going to be able to use to collaborate with the community and provide these different resources that are going to help them directly and indirectly online and social media. And, just through word of mouth, really, we've noticed a lot of people are in need of that platform. A lot of people are already pretty much using it, but it's just another aspect of how we're providing it. There are other magazines in the area, but they're not really catering to that specific audience and demographic. So our business model is a venture studio business model, which focuses on creating more than one brand or business. What you notice with these production companies is they also have usually sister companies, and they help outsource what they're doing with saving them money and keeping it more of internal, so that way they're able to build more and scale more. And I think that's what Orlando needs right now. They need people who are able to come together and create multiple ways where people can create this self-sufficient and cultivate this culture where we can be that platform, not only now, but in the future. And that's what we believe is going to provide us over 6 figures annually. Our team's going to work with the dynamic network, connecting with all different types of people in the community. And that is my time. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the questions and answers, and then go to my 1 million cup question. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Darnell. Very, very cool. So let's get to our first question here. How big is the Central Florida fashion industry? Is there a big call for fashion professionals here? Because Eric was thinking Miami might be bigger, but can you speak to the industry here in Orlando?
Yes, sir. That's a great question. Thank you. The industry is growing. I had the pleasure of working with Ika Tamar. She had over 20 years experience in the industry, and she was just able to give me tremendous insight. And it made me realize those are the type of people we need to be working with. And there's also the Orlando Fashion District with Gina, which was a nonprofit as well. We had the pleasure of the company of being a sponsor for a New York fashion brand that came down to Orlando just for a runway event called High Tech Moda that we recently did. And they mentioned how the scene there was already there and established. The lady in New York would come here and have so many connections in Orlando, which just was letting me know that the industry is growing. To answer your question, yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Rupert has a question. Can you go back to your primary info slide? And Rupert, I don't know if you want to ask your question directly or.
All right, is this the slide? Mm-hmm.
I guess the solution slide. What's the next one? So, do you want me to say it or type it?
No, just say you're already on. Go ahead. Okay,
so Sequoia is one of the top, if not the top, venture capital firm in the world, and they have their methodology is how does, as far as investing is concerned, is which of the 7 deadly sins are you fulfilling, right? So I'm in the game industry, so obviously it's sloth, right? People need to find something to do with their time, and that's what pushes the predominance of the game industry, hardcore gamers notwithstanding. So so you're offering a solution, but I've been here a long time, and I know I've worked with a significant number of people in the fashion area here, and it just doesn't seem like Eric mentioned that Miami has a bigger market, but it's not a question of a bigger market, it's just a market, period. We do have one of the fastest up and coming fashion influencers, actually two of them here in Orlando. Um, and but I'm just like, I'm just,
The industry is changing itself. Traditional fashion is changing from retailers going into brick and mortars to online. We saw that during COVID and the pandemic and e-commerce sales, not only globally, nationally, but even here locally, people didn't feel comfortable going into these places. We're just providing the solution to the core problem right now to create that foundation and have positive report in the community. And the main problem we've seen that artists have is not having that platform, whether it be online or whether it be physical, direct or indirect marketing. Once we're providing that platform for them, I believe that that will help, get us to that level where we're able to collaborate with Miami.
right. But the thing is too, is that have you looked at your competition here in Orlando? Because there's already a number of publications, both print and digital, that address arts, entertainment, technology, or a combination thereof.
That's true. Yes, but they're not doing it in the actual area of Orlando. For instance, if you go to Lake Eola, which has over around 1 million visitors annually, the Walt Disney Amphitheater is only used less than 10 times a year. There's so much talent there that could be using that space, but the way it is right now, having a relationship with the corporate tie with Walt Disney, the local magazines aren't doing. They're not providing a solution directly for the artists. However, they do have a resource for the artists. What we're doing is providing the solution for them, being a platform that caters specifically to them. So like the amphitheater, you would see artists in Orlando, artists downtown arts district, collaborating, working on different issues of our publication, which will be seasonal, just being able to focus on their craft and promote each other with collaborating and creating and cultivating that type of environment where it could be like Miami or it could be like up north, but in our own Orlando type of way.
Well, one of the things that I suggest to all the people that I mentor is you need to find, your arts and entertainment and technology are three completely different things. Okay. And then you call yourself Orlando Fashion. Okay. So the name alone is gonna send people's minds going in one direction. And then when you say arts and they're like, okay, is this fashion art? And then you say, no, it's not, or whatever, and using live events and things like that. And then entertainment technology are two different things. What I suggest to them is I say, look, find one thing and laser focus on that. Okay. And I mean laser focus on it, which means saying no a lot of times. Okay. And use that laser focus to get your foot in the door in that particular target market and once you start making revenues from that, then you can start saying, okay, let's try looking at this other area that's close to it or whatever.
Yes, and that laser focus is focused on marketing. It is marketing. It is being able to create brand awareness and brand identity with the community in that positive.
But to what target market?
Our target market is the greater Orlando area.
Oh, that's too vague. That's too vague.
That's vague for the publication.
I understand that. Florida, no, okay. So that's your publication area, but that's still not what your target market. Your target market is people who are patrons of the arts, or museum directors, or you're looking at, and you call yourself Orlando Fashion. So are you going after all the stores in Orlando that sell, fashion wear. I mean,
we're not going after them. We want to collaborate with everybody. And that's the reason why this is such an innovative brand that's never been pretty much talked about in Orlando, because the potential is so high. When I was listening to a speech with Mayor Buddy Dyer in 2019, he mentioned Orlando wanting Orlando to be a center of innovation. When you look at Snap Art Orlando Gallery in downtown Orlando, they're already applying augmented reality into their art virtually just through an app.
yeah, I
So
know all
the
those
potential, right? So
You know,
social media marketing, yeah, social media marketing is much. We're not doing it online. That's going to be different than how we're doing it just for the magazine itself. When I started presentation, I mentioned us having a magazine is what most people recognize Orlando Fashion with right now. Its magazine is just a magazine of the company itself. Being a production company, being a publication company, our magazine will be able to cater to there's over 30 talent agencies in Central Florida. And these talent agencies aren't collaborating together, right? There's resources in downtown Orlando. The Melrose in Orlando is a service that's free for all people in Orlando to use,
right.
that has a production studio, photography studio, and the classes to teach people for free as a nonprofit. And everyone in Orlando that I've met, has not heard of it when I first started over a year ago. And I realized, okay, if that's one thing we can help solve with the magazine, and then the Walt Disney Amphitheater in Lake Eola, that's two easy solutions our company can do. As we're growing and collaborating with the nonprofits, and just being able to provide just exposure to those two areas, and having distribution at Lake Eola, that's almost over 1 million visitors just a year, just going in that location. So how many other problems could we help solve and be able to take this 5 years from now?
I guess my primary thing goes back to you're calling it Orlando fashion. So that right there sends people's thoughts in one direction. And I don't think it's consistent with the message that you're trying to convey.
That's what I thought too, Rupert. When we first started the company, I talked to my partner, who he's unfortunately cannot be here right now. And he's the creative director. And I told him, listen, man, that's my job as a production coordinator, is just to, do the logistics, make sure you get what you need to be able to create, and working with the talent director and the different members of the team. And I told him we have to figure out what fashion is, right? We would go around, we'd ask people in Orlando, hey, what does fashion mean to you? And how do you think it is in Orlando compared to these other areas? They said Orlando we don't really have fashion sense, right? We don't really have an overall unique style that you think of like that.
Just go to Publix and you'll see,
So we realized, okay, well, if we want to understand what Orlando fashion is, we need to understand what fashion means, right? What does it mean to Orlando? And then, when we did several articles, we would ask people, what does fashion mean to you, to these brands, to these artists? And the overall message we got is it's expression. And people just want to express themselves.
Then call it that, Orlando expression.
Right. So we want to be able to redefine what Orlando fashion means here in Orlando with the community. So maybe we could come up with what it means together, and then see what it is 5 years from now, because it's going to be way more than just fashion. I mean, as a production and publication company, we haven't really ever seen that mix, and the sector needs that. Just the arts and culture sector alone in Orlando is so impactful in the whole all of Florida. So once we have it,
So I like the challenge of you redefining fashion, but you got to be very careful with your messaging, I think, to Rupert's point, and maybe it needs a tagline or something underneath, but that's very bold. If you want to redefine fashion as expression, you got to be very, very forward with that in your message. It's got to be very clear. Otherwise, it will take people the wrong direction. And the other thing Rupert, I think, was getting at was just if you think about your ideal client, where are they in their life? Are they running a studio somewhere? Are they a starving artist? 39 years old, been through this, been through that. So really try and imagine you're in the room with the person you're trying to serve, your perfect client. And the more detail you can describe about that, the more laser focused you can get on your business. But let's go on to Eric has a question. How frequently do you publish? or how long have you been publishing?
We actually have not published our first issue as yet. It will be publishing, we hope, by next season. We're working on building more of a community so that we're able to showcase a really amazing publication for the people. And yeah, that's really, we'll be publishing seasonally.
Okay, awesome. And it's print and digital promotion, Nima's asking, is it both?
Yes, it will be.
Okay.
What we want to do is create, we want to create different locations. What Orlando Style magazine does is they have a lot of different partners in the community that they'll leave their exclusive magazine issues there. So we want to be able to do that as well, but in more places, all around the community where people are able to be able to see what's going on in the arts, entertainment, and technology in Orlando.
Got it. And there's some comments there, so make sure you download the chat. There's some good comments from folks. Shama wants to know, how will your magazine combat the declining interest in printed magazines and newspaper?
Okay, I'm looking for that question now. I do see it in the chat.
Yeah, how will your magazine combat the declining interest in printed magazines? So is this going to be the digital aspect, or do you have other ideas for promoting your
so
your information?
To answer your question, we're not combating it. We're collaborating with it. Right now, the declining interest in printed magazines and newspapers, it's not a declining interest. It's just that it's not adapting. It's not innovative enough. People are looking at the same content online already. So what we're going to do is not only have online social media, we're also going to be there at these events in Lake Eola, at these different events happening, working with ambassadors, being able to promote more of Orlando fashion in a new type of feel. So it's not going to be the same as a newspaper or magazine.
Okay, got it. Yeah, there's some more good comments, but we're out of time, so we're gonna have to go to our final question, and I'll send that back to Mr. Eric Deckers.
All right, thank you, and good job, Darnell. Final question is, what can we as a community do for you?
Yes, so what we're looking for right now is being able to work with different people in these different industries. So what 1 Million Cups can provide for us is a network. So right now we're just glad to be a part of this 1 Million Cups organization, and right now we're just looking to connect with members in the organization.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate hearing from you. Next, yes. I want to welcome Patrick Letens of the Dutch Waffle Company up in Napanee, Indiana. Napanee is unique in the world for being the only town with exactly 2 instances of each letter. 2 N's, 2 A's, 2 P's, 2 E's. No other town in the entire world can make that claim. So if nothing else, you all learned that today.
That's why we moved.
All right, so Patrick, go ahead and share your screen and tell us about Dutch stroopwafels.
Well, first, Darnell, wonderful presentation. I should have asked you to get mine done, because I always think it's better to have the worst one at the first and the best one last. But I turned 52 years old today, so I played with marbles. I only have a PowerPoint presentation set where I'm already really proud of. It's 5 or 6 pages, but I'll show you that at the end. My wife had to step out because she had a phone call from Europe. We moved from Europe 2019. It all started in 1988. A lot of you weren't even born, see on the different faces. But in 1988, she was an exchange student in Napanee on Northwood High School. we still kept in close contact with the family, and they every time they asked us, please bring Stroop waffles. Every time we went on vacation and we visit them, it's nice having you guys over, but please bring Stroop waffles. So, and then my wife's host dad, Jim Hartman, he asked us in '98 when we got married, why don't you start a company in America and provide the American public with a fresh one? Because he had a fresh one in the Netherlands. He said there's a huge difference between a pre-packed, shipped overseas one to a fresh produced one. And I was a sales manager back then, and I didn't know how to produce a Stroop waffle. So in '99, long story short, we went over for 10 weeks. We did a field research. It really went well, but we couldn't get in the country. We hired a lawyer, paid her a lot of money, and after we flew back, she said, well, it's going to take a couple of weeks, then you will have your E2 visa based on investments. And then I said, well, should we already put up the house for sale? Oh, sure. It will be just, it's like a walk in the park. So we sold our house. And then about a week after we signed the contract to sell the house, she called. I don't know why, but I'm sorry, but you guys got denied. So then we were kind of homeless. And it took us 20 years in 2019 to come over to again sell the house, use the equity to start the business with. So it's been a 20-year travel, and learned that persistence pays off. Anyone that is doubting themselves about the business, just focus on the future. And if you're looking back, your back is towards the future. So just keep going forward. And so 2019, November 16, we came over, and now we have about 500 stores that we sell them to. The majority goes through wholesalers, but we have about 200 stores we directly distribute them to. I don't know if everybody knows a Stroop waffle, but a Stroop waffle is a thin, crispy wafer. I don't know if you can all see it, but we have 8 in the pack. So it's a thin, crispy wafer filled with a layer of caramel. A lot of people say, "Oh, you should put them on your coffee to warm them up." Yes, that's what you have to do with the ones you get from Europe, because the caramel is really hard and chewy inside. So you should warm them up. We already had a small conversation prior to this meeting, and then I always joke, well, a lot of coffee chains now sell a lot of iced coffee, and we tried it, and it's really hard to warm up your waffle on an iced coffee. So you should buy a fresh one. So we now have an 8-pack for supermarkets. We sell a 2-pack for in vending machines, vending companies. It all has the ingredient stuff, UPC codes, and it's so nice that when you just want a small plastic wrapping, the company say, "Oh, we could do small quantities like 1 million." Well, as a startup company, you don't, and it's only 6 cents a wrapping. Well, that's $60,000 in plastic wrapping. So it's hard if you just have to do everything from cash. So by now we have this is the regular size, 3.5 inch, but a lot of coffee shops ask for a bigger one. So we also bake a 5-inch one, because a lot of coffee shops have a big, like a cappuccino. And if you want to warm it up, people still want to do that. Then you have a floating cookie instead of a big one that lays on top of your coffee. And let me tell you, they don't float. One customer told us, he said, "I put it on my coffee, came back in the office, somebody stole it. It was gone." So I was really irritated. And then I drank my coffee, and it was all kind of gooey on the bottom. So it caved in and it fell into the coffee. So that was a funny story. For Mother's Day, we have a heart-shaped, I don't know if it's shiny, but it's a 5-inch Mother's Day half dipped in chocolate. So that's also a product. And for Valentine's, we also sold it. That is a little short version of the company. I've got a small, not a Darnell, but a small PowerPoint presentation for you. I hope I'm doing this well. I hope everybody can see this.
Yes.
So, like I said, where am I going here? The Dutch Waffle Company. Well, we're the producer of the Dutch syrup waffle, and it's pronounced stroop waffle, because stroop is like a caramel in the Netherlands. Like I said, we immigrated 2019, and it was an idea from my wife's host dad, Jim Hartman, and we. If I share my screen, nobody can see me anymore. Is it right, Eric?
It looks good.
But can you see my screen now?
We can see, most of us should be able to see you off to the side,
Okay.
even though your screen is shared.
Yeah, so the 5-inch one I just showed you, we call him the Jimbo in honor of Jim Hartman, because he always, when we were in 99, he always asked me, how big can you bake those? And then at least a 7 or 8-inch one. So we now call the 5-inch one the Jimbo. So 10 weeks market research. My wife actually is the owner of the business. Unfortunately, she had to step out of the office because of a phone call from Europe. And like I said, we're here on an E2 investment visa. Our recipe, we got in contact with it's a Dutch cookie. Dutch means from the Netherlands. A lot of people say, oh, so you're Amish? No, Dutch means you're from the Netherlands. And if you're Amish, it means Deutsch, which means you have roots in Germany, but that's a different story. We have the original over 200-year-old recipe. Like I said, it's a thin, crispy wafer filled with a really thin layer of caramel. And by now it's also in a lot of airports. They give them as a complimentary snack with your coffee. Well, this is me as a chef in the kitchen. So 3.5, like I said. Sorry?
1 minute.
Oh, I got 1 minute?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Well, like I said, it's more what you can read what I already told you. Shipping 4 to 6 months old. In about 500 stores now. We are in desperate need of distributors to expand. We're in the Michigan area. We do distribution ourselves. A distributor from Ohio. Future thoughts, selling to larger chains, private label. And we're on Amazon right now. And one wish for me is taking an English grammar course coming from Europe. That should be it.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. Really, really cool. Now I'm hungry, so I appreciate that.
Let's eat.
So first question from Eric, what is the reach of your distribution? And do you have an online store as well?
Our reach, you said, because you cut out a bit. Our reach.
Yeah. What's the reach of your distribution? How far?
Well, we have one distributor from it's called Walnut Creek from Ohio. They supply to like Amish stores and farmers markets. They have about 2,000 customers, and they go to about 8 or 9 different states. We sometimes get a phone call from Boston. Oh, we had your waffles and we bought them in New York State. Where is your nearest storefront in Boston? I have no clue. I didn't even know we sell them in New York State. So the distribution we do ourselves is till Holland, Michigan, Grand Rapids, Chicago, Fort Wayne, Auburn, Albion, and Valparaiso, Kokomo and stuff. So it's about a 50, 60 mile radius.
Okay, awesome. So and Mark says, go ahead.
Back to the other question, the web shop. In the beginning, we thought, well, we don't want to have a web shop because we don't want to be the competitors to our retail stores. But we have people reaching out from LA, from I don't know even, and say, well, we don't have a store there, but we could ship it to you. So they send us an email, we put it in a package. So now we are in the process of getting a new website, because the website now is made by our neighbor boy. Because we didn't know how to make a website, because he made it for us, and he didn't know how to make a web shop. So now we reached out to a company here, local in Elkhart County. They're going to make a web shop for us.
Good. That sounds like a good idea. Mark says he's traveled to the Netherlands before frequently and loves stroop waffles. But he says you describe them as fresh, but still package and ship them. So what's the real difference? Is it that the filling stays soft and they sell more closely to the production date than some of the others? So really, what is the difference? Because you also ship them.
Yeah.
It's just
the difference is we just attended 4-H County Fair in Elkhart County. About 100,000 people come there in about 8 or 9 days. And we baked the 5-inch, we baked them warm. That's really fresh. But a stroopwafel, a fresh stroopwafel in the Netherlands, you can't buy older than 4 weeks, because by then the product isn't bad, but the crunchiness of the dough, it's really a brittle dough. Gradually goes away, and it makes into a flexible cookie that needs to be warmed up either in a microwave or put them in the sun or whatever. So then the freshness is gone. And a really good question: if you package them and ship them, where did the freshness go? The freshness is about 4 weeks that you have a crispy, fresh wafer filled with a nice soft caramel that you can just eat at room temperature.
so that kind of makes me wonder if there's a model for shipping fast that you're going to need to employ as you build your distribution, like maybe what Krispy Kreme does, or something like that. So have you found something that can get it out there fast, or are you still looking for a method?
We're open for suggestions because we reached out to hire people, but we are in the RV industry here. Napanee, maybe Eric knows, is known for its RV industry, and people make $50, $60, $70 an hour here, and they just laugh if you offer them $20 an hour. And so we really blessed with 2 people in the kitchen now, and one helping me with follow up and after sales and stuff. Being 9 days at the county fair, I came back with almost 200 unanswered emails. So I'm still, of course, catching up. So we're open for all suggestions, distributor-wise. The cookie doesn't have to be next day delivery, because it's really, even after 3 weeks, it's a real nice crispy wafer. But the competitors from overseas, we have one competitor that sell already on an annual base $40 million of stroopwafels. And the day we came on Amazon with our 2-pack, and it's just, you should laugh about it. This is a 2-pack. They sold their 25-pack for $24.99, and the day we came on Amazon, they dropped their price to $12.50. So it's something you have to, as a small company, you have to fight a $40 million company on an annual basis.
Yeah, and along that same line, Denny would like to know, what do these retail for, and are they available in Florida?
I was talking to Publix, and Publix said, well, we have an imported one, and they say, well, we know there's a difference, but people are used to the brand we have now. So I said, well, do you only have one brand of peanut butter? But well, so he didn't want to bring in another brand. But we won't give up. We have somebody else now that has connections in Publix, so we hope we're going to get them in Publix. In February, we're going to be back on vacation in Florida, so I will be reaching out to a lot other, maybe smaller chains, and they retail very diverse. This is just a regular. This is an 8-count. They retail for around $5. We also have a gluten-free, certified gluten-free, and a vegan organic, and they are, of course, a little higher price because it's a really expensive ingredient list.
Nima says, maybe I'm delusional, but wouldn't this be a good fit for Starbucks? And I kind of have to agree, especially with the gluten-free and the vegan, and you're not looking for just mass distribution in terms of just anywhere. You guys got some very specific options here that are attractive and can command a premium price.
Josh, I can't even explain you how frustrating it is. We sample to people from Starbucks, and they have a similar product, and they say, oh, we have a stroopwafel too. Well, like I think Rupert said it in the beginning, there's also a brand which sold in Florida. And again, you really should try them. And then I'll send you for free one from us to try. There's so much difference in a stroopwafel. Stroopwafel is just a product name, like a chocolate chip cookie or a car or a phone. Stroopwafel is not a brand. And we aim for the highest quality possible. So stay as near to the original recipe as possible. And we sample to Starbucks, people from Starbucks, and they say, why aren't we selling yours? This is like the ones we sell now on steroids. And I said, well, I reached out to corporate. I sent emails. Nobody's responding. Nobody's answering emails. So sometimes in Europe, it's called pulling on a dead horse. So sometimes you have to give up. But and I think from the small local company, we are now to the jump of a national distributor to Starbucks is maybe a little bit big within 1.5 years. But quality will sell itself, although I always say even the best product would never be a success if nobody knows that it exists.
Correct. Are you willing to white label also?
We already do a private label to, well, white label is meaning private label?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we do private label to a chain of bakeries also. And it's so funny, we had people at the 4-H kind of, well, we buy ours at so-and-so bakery and they are way better than yours. Oh, okay, well, yeah, that's always a difference. Oh, okay, that's ours, I can't tell you.
Nice. Nancy says, for fun, have you thought about inserting clever notes inside your packaging, like little Dutch history, humor, Q&A, just anything like that?
Is she looking for a job?
I don't know. I'll let her answer that if she wants.
Well, we tried all different stuff. We have when we have a trade show, of course, you probably can read it, but it's a little history about the waffle. And then we have this as a banner and with a picture of how you can use the product. And we just use the picture that, hey, this is the one you put on your coffee because people don't know otherwise. So we now have to the 500 stores we now sell them to. We have a small leaflet put up in a clear display how to make s'mores with them. So if you warm up your waffle, then you have your soft caramel in the crispy wafer and a marshmallow and chocolate, and it's really nice. People send us pictures about that and say, hey, we use so and so, and people send us pictures from, I cut your waffle up and put it over ice cream, and then the caramel gets really crunchy because of the temperature. It's amazing. Well, then we go to ice cream stores and tell them, hey, people like this. I don't know this product, so I'm not interested. Oh, okay. So it's a struggle, but we're keep going forward.
Okay, interesting. There might be a branding play here or something. Because the product itself is amazing. It's just getting people to understand it. But Eric says, have you reached out to independent coffee shops, or is there a distributor that specializes in independent coffee shops? Some of the smaller ones that would be more open to, I guess, taking on your product.
That I don't know. The first question, if we sell to coffee shops, I think about a third of our customers are coffee shops, private-owned coffee shops. We have some smaller coffee shops. I reached out to Dutch Bros, and Dutch Bros have about 400 coffee shops in, I think, the Midwest area. We reached out to Big B Coffee. They all have the same one imported from the Netherlands because they don't. They are afraid to step outside of the path and have a new product in a small company. And a lot of them, I talk to bigger buyers and bigger distributors, and they are afraid to connect with us if they say, hey, we've got 20 warehouses nationwide, and if everybody starts ordering, we're afraid you can't keep up with production. But we have machines, we could produce up to 1 million single stroopwafels, so not a packaging, but 1 million single stroopwafels a week. So and if that wears us out, we could just invest in new machines and crank the production up. But hey, well, and I also know we're 1.5 years down the road, so, and already then have 500 plus stores is of course a blessing, but there's always room for more.
Absolutely. Tim Rickey's asking, have you considered doing road shows? Like,
we were at the 4-H County Fair. We were in a booth next to Costco, and Costco are famous for their roadshow. And the women next there, I was baking fresh the whole day, dressed up as a chef, and she said, "Oh man, this smell just made me gain 2 pounds the last 2 days." And then, but it's amazing. And can't you have this fragrance in a bottle just to have room spray as a stroop waffle. And then she called management. They came and they say, are you willing to do a roadshow at Costco to get you in as a local vendor? And then maybe push corporate from there. I said, well, I'll think about it. Yes.
Absolutely. And Tim is also asking, like, have you asked Starbucks employees to talk to headquarters on your behalf? Maybe there's a push there just to get them in the mouths of every Starbucks employee so they don't shut up about it. I don't know, or something.
Well, I kind of, yeah, a really good one. I tried that strategy too, that, hey, could you call corporate? And then they call me back and say, hey, nobody responded or reached out or whatever. They even send our samples to corporate and nobody reached it. Maybe it was because of COVID. It was during the COVID period. And when we came just before COVID, we had about 35, 40 customers. And then COVID hit, we went down to 2 for a couple of months. So about within a year, we now grew from 2 to 500. But maybe it's a good one. Thank you. Was it Tim you said, Josh?
Yeah, Tim, Ricky. Yep. Yeah,
Tim. Thank you for the new push. That I'm thinking about doing that again. I use a lot of bigger retail supermarket chains to do that. And they say, oh, we want this. And we're in there as a local supplier in several bigger supermarket chains, but only in 1 or 2 or some of them 4 locations. But corporate is not budging. I don't know why, but and it's maybe due to the fact that we're only one.
If I can interrupt, I've done Costco roadshows for years, and you've got a product they smell for the senses right there. Bingo. She told you that woman standing next to you. Look at Costco. They'll test for you if you can get them. Get the whole thing worked out, and my contact information is there. I'll be glad to do anything I can do to help you.
Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Rick, I just sent, this is Denny Career. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just sent you a note also. One of my good friends, Rich Ungaro, builds all but 9 of the Starbucks east of the Mississippi River. He's known Howard Schultz for years, and they're very, very good friends. If you could send me a pack, I'll run it by Rich, and if he likes it, he may pitch this personally to Howard. You can't do better than that.
Wow.
There you go.
You just have to promise me one thing, Danny. Don't smell them, or you're hooked, and you're going to eat the whole package yourself.
Oh, yeah, well, I'll probably be hooked on it, but that's fine.
I'll send you 2 packages then.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we are out of time, so I'm going to send it to Eric Deckers for our last question.
All right, Patrick, very well done, and thank you very much. Final question is, what can we as a community do for you?
Well, being one of the nicest states that I visited, I would like to maybe even eventually move. I talked to a gentleman that lives near Orlando. He lives on the beach. He said, you should move to Florida. I said, hey, but then of course we have to have some business going on there. So we would need a distributor. He said a lot of the people from all America, they moved to Florida around October till April. So you would do really good in the winter, all the coffee shops and stuff. So we're open to any suggestion.
Okay, great. You said you are coming here in February. Where are you going to be?
Friends of ours, we bake at an Amish store. We use their kitchen because when we came over, you have to have a health department approved kitchen to produce your product. So we can use their kitchen after their girls have done baking the cookies and the pies and stuff. We are bringing them to, I think it's called Marinar Beach or something on the Gulf of Mexico, somewhere about in the Panhandle. And then we're going to our friends. Well, yeah, I call them my friend now.
Wow.
I only met him like a week ago, but they invited us to come over. And then after that, we're going to visit my wife's host parents. They have a condo in Bradenton near Anna Marie Island. He lives in Hernando Beach, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that is, but it should be somewhere around Tampa or something.
Okay. All right, great. Well, maybe you can find a reason to come to Orlando, and we'll get together. You can write it off on your taxes.
Oh, I'm open for all suggestions, I said. So,
Yep.
and Eric, do you have Denny's
I put it in there.
contacts and stuff?
Contact
Yeah.
information in there. I put in the address.
Awesome.
Rich
Okay.
Ungaro also was the youngest vice president in history of both Burger King and Wendy's. So he knows the food business inside and out. If you ever get to the point where you want a franchise, he's the best franchise guys, I think, in the country.
Well, somebody already reached out and he wanted to buy a part of the company. I said, why would we sell our baby? We made it. So he said, well, you need money and I can do a national marketing company and I will pay everything. I just need a part of the company. I said, well, not at this point. But he said, what you should make a restaurant where you bake the waffles free. And we got a couple of other Dutch made products which would go really good at restaurants. And he said, you should make that into a franchise and I will pay everything for it to set that up. So also that's a good idea to make but if you're up for it, Danny, I will gladly visit you in February and talk some more. But till then,
I'll introduce you to Rich. That's the real key.
Excuse me?
I'll introduce you to Rich. That's the real key.
Oh yeah, that should be that would be awesome. Thank you.
Wonderful.
All right. Both you and Darnell may want to download the chat before we finish up, but otherwise, thank you very much. And